Hello and welcome to this edition of the Time with Hime podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Cordes, joined by our superintendent. We're at the end of June.
Last podcast of the official school year 2021. We're going to be in the 2022 school year for the next podcast.
Yes, and we're ending our first session of summer school too, so it's happening.
Yep, we're moving right on. We're going to wrap up what we talked about the last month or so because we had guests and a lot of information. So we didn't invite a guest this week. We're just going to go back and kind of review some of the topics we covered and talk about, clarify some things and get ready for 2022.
I know.
Wow.
Can you believe July is next week? It's happening, and it's getting hot, and the temps are going up. But I did enjoy that cool day we had this week.
I can remember when I was a classroom teacher, sometimes it seemed like the school year drug on a little bit, but the summers always went fast. It's no different when you're a superintendent.
Exactly.
Hey, June has gone so fast.
A lot of things have taken place and a lot of accomplishments, but let's get back into the reminders of wrapping up what we were, with our families, what we're doing. So first thing is our virtual remote days. We've been talking about that and we haven't pushed it out yet, but share what that's going to look like.
On our calendar next year, we've had a discussion that there's really two different kinds of virtual days, and we did that this year. One is when we expect kids to log on and work along with their teacher. A synchronous day is what they call it, and work together. And we're calling those our remote days. Those are our virtual days. See, I can get confused with it. Those are our virtual days. If we're working virtual, the teachers will be at school, the staff will be in the office, and we'll work with the kids throughout the day, and the teachers will be logging on all day long doing their classes as normal. Remote days are what we used to call the snow days, where everyone's at home. The teachers will put work out there for them to do. The more of a distance learning, where they'll make assignments. They'll be available to answer emails and such throughout the day. But those are days going to be. So if you look at our calendar, one of our virtual days is a Friday, November 12th, after Veterans Day on the 11th. So that would be a remote day, so people don't have to come to work on a Friday after being off on a Thursday. Another remote day will be the Monday after Easter is on the calendar as a remote day. April 18th. So you can kind of see that we'll strategically use them. And it'll also prepare us for the school year. If we're out of school for some reasons, we may have a virtual day where we expect our staff to come in and our staff will relay information throughout the day to the students. If we have a true snow day, and we talked about it last year where we had the kids send the pictures and do things like that.
Our snow challenge,
where we want our students to enjoy the snow day, but we still want some learning to take place. We would call that a remote day where everyone can stay home. So we'll continue to get that clarified throughout the year and hopefully have a better understanding as we get better at providing a virtual education on various platforms. Again, we're trying to create that flexibility, trying to make our teachers stronger at their practice and give it, and again, we have to do it to get better. And so we're going to work to get better at it.
And the big thing about the virtual day versus the remote, when you see it on the calendar, is the virtual day has a schedule, a true time schedule.
Yes.
And then remote is as you can do it or as you're able, but by the end of a certain time frame to get counted.
Yeah, and so that will be different for the parents, because if it's a virtual day, the students are expected at home to log on throughout the day and work with them. So hopefully we get it cleared up. And again, we're going to get better at this. We've been doing this, and one of the statements I've made a lot is you don't have to be bad to get better. We're going to continue to get better. When we started doing virtual and creating our different platforms, our one goal was we're going to be the best at it. And to be the best at it, you got to create different platforms and be flexible with it. And that's what we're working on.
And you're speaking of the different platforms. So as we prepare for the new school year, enrollment is open.
Yes.
And we are offering the same platforms that we did last year to include the virtual nights.
Virtual night, virtual school, blended, or just a normal.
The student-paced as well.
Yeah, student-paced and traditional. Now, the student-paced is only for the upper level, the secondary students.
Yes,
but
6 through
12. We're
12.
going to offer those, and we're going to be very flexible and work with our parents again. We're probably not going to. We're going to probably work on trying not to change platforms as much with our students, but a lot of the changing platforms last year was due to quarantines. Now, that kind of leads into another topic to review is quarantines. Quarantines aren't going away, and the mask mandates are basically going away. The governor, they signed into law where it's very difficult for a school to pass a mask mandate unless the health department recommends it. And so we have to understand that's why we had Brandy on last week to talk about vaccinations. again, we have a strong belief. We've discussed this in our leadership meetings. I've discussed this. I'm pretty, the board stands with this. We respect a parent's right to decide whether their child gets vaccinated or not. We're not trying to choose that. We just want to make sure our parents know the advantages to becoming vaccinated. It gets you out of the quarantines so your student won't get quarantined. And the more we have vaccinated, the less chance you have getting quarantined again. That's something that's probably going to surprise some parents next year that don't get vaccinated, because without the mask mandate, it's going to be a little wider net. So there's going to be more students get quarantined. Hopefully we have 0 positives next year. But if you read the news and things, there are still new positives every day. The
New
numbers
variants out there.
Just lower. So,
Right.
We'll continue to work again to communicate, be flexible, and work with our parents and the health departments, because we don't choose who gets quarantined. The health department does. So that's a continued communication line we'll work on.
And a partnership with them. So
Yes,
we'll
our
make
partner,
sure.
again, they were our Friends of Education this year. They do a great job. Brandy has come on our show a couple times, and we'll try to continue that conversation to work with our parents.
And we talked about enrollment, that it's happening and it's
Yes.
ongoing. Can you clarify and just reiterate to parents what that looks like in regards to the transportation boundaries? Because we're working on our
Yes.
maps, and so we want to make sure they know that.
The state passed a new bill on transfers and in and outs and where a student could go to school. So it really opened up the door. Well, it opened up statewide. Therefore, we need to open it up in Lawton. So typically what we have now, except for some special circumstances, freedom being one of them, you can take your child to school where you choose to go. So you can pick your elementary, you can pick your high school. We still have our transportation boundaries. Obviously, we can't have kids in six different elementary schools in one neighborhood and run a bus to all of those. So our transportation boundaries stand. So if you're going to need transportation, you'll have to go to school where the buses go. And again, we're very flexible in the old Tomlinson district for the middle school kids and the high school kids there, because we're going to run buses to both. From that old Tomlinson district, we allow those parents to choose either Eisenhower path or the Lawton path, which would be Central Middle School. And we're going to do our best to provide transportation to both and continue that flexibility, since we made a change when we went to 3 middle schools with 3 high schools.
And we're transitioning into the LRC. I've been
Oh
there
man, I'm
lately, and
excited
they
hearing
are
a lot.
working.
They're moving fast, and that's going to be huge. Again, we continue to talk about that throughout the district. We're putting a makerspace in every elementary. That's getting a lot of talk around the state and people discussing what we're doing with that. And again, we have a superstar in Vanessa Perez who came on, and Doris Bigler. We have
Yes.
really good people doing that. We have other people in our district who have been makerspace ladies, as they call them, or who have
And
ran
gentlemen, and getting them all
and
out
ran
there.
makerspaces, and we've touched the iceberg with it before, but now we're all in, and every elementary will have it. So every elementary student should get in the neighborhood of 40 minutes a week in a makerspace, being that creativity. And then our GT classes, we've pushed all those GT classes to the elementaries, so they'll be done at their home school, and hopefully that expands the expectation for all students, because we always talk all means all, so we create more opportunities for them. Middle school, talk about it.
The course catalog, it was so different just seeing some, different courses with my daughter. She was 6th grade last year, and the amount of electives she could take from last year to this year, exponentially different. And she was really excited. It actually took us an hour to figure out what she was going to take, because there were so many choices. So that's been nice to see that push down from the high school down to the
Yes.
middle school, and then it's really encouraging.
Yeah, and when we push those credits down for your daughter, we're not trying to get her out of school sooner
No.
or get her to graduate.
Neither am I. She needs to stay.
Hey, wait till she gets to be 18. We'll see how you're.
She'll be graduated by then.
There you go.
With an associate's degree, right? It's working.
But the ideal is to give her more flexibility when she gets to high school. And we also have our TAP program,
Yes,
which
yes,
is going to
yes, yes.
create some career tech and some hands-on opportunities for our students who are really just more. It's not about who's smart and who's not smart and who's gifted, but some people just work better with their hands. Some people talk with
Gymnast,
their
that's me. That's us. We both talk with our hands. We get told all the
So
time.
some people just can't, sitting in a classroom for 40 minutes, 8 periods a day or 7 periods a day is difficult. So it works for there. And then the LRC, the LRC is one of a kind. We do believe people are coming in. Charlotte and her team are doing a great job. They are working every day on that, and that's going to offer so many opportunities in the years to come for the students at Lawton Public Schools. So a lot going on. Next year is going to bring a lot of change, and hopefully it's all positive change. And again, we work for the students. We're going to try to create more opportunities without roadblocks for every student who attends Lawton Public Schools.
And that reminds me, for our families that have asked about the LRC, we did put the course catalog out on our website, and you can also speak with your student's counselor, and they're available so that you can see that. Speaking of the website,
Counsel INFO, if you got questions, don't forget about that. INFO at lawtonps.org. Now back to the website.
And back to the website, we are transitioning. So next week we may be down just a few hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, but we're going to clean it all up, make it brand new, put everything where families can find it. Boundary maps are getting redone. Just a new year, time to do it. Which also reminds me, you were talking about GT being put in the sites. We did have a question about our EL program.
Yes.
Can you please share what that looks like?
Same difference, EL is
our English language learners.
They used to call it EL, but it's our language learners, or those who are acquiring the language. All the research shows that full immersion is what helps. When a student doesn't know what the bathroom is, or the men's and women's, there's some things there that we have to, when we put them in some newcomer places to get that. But the ideal is get them to their home schools. So we are pushing that out as much as we can, where each site has their own EL program. A student shouldn't have to ride a bus across town just because they're EL or special ed, if it can be helped. So we're working really hard. Again, if a parent chooses Eisenhower or MacArthur, or they can pick their middle school that they want to be a part of that EL program, but we are expanding our EL program and going deeper into it. And so sometimes it gets, when you change things, doesn't mean
it's not canceled.
It's not
canceled,
going away. It's not going away.
We're expanding.
We're offering more services across the district. So that's I think in schools sometimes we always worry about budgets, and that's something I really strive not to worry.
Your job.
Yes, I always talk about it's my job and not worry about it. I want to provide more opportunities without roadblocks. So when we change, it's not less opportunities, it's more opportunities. And that's what we're doing with EL as well.
Awesome. Now, let's clarify the dress code guidelines and what that looks like, because we still have some questions about elementary, middle school, and high school.
From my seat, that's kind of, because I was a newcomer. We all know I moved here right when the pandemic came, but hey, Lawton wasn't the only place I got it, so don't act like I brought it here. Everybody else, it was worldwide pandemic. But
you started something.
Yeah, but it was a question a lot of the principals asked me in the first meetings in January and February, whenever I was just coming on board in the transition. Are we going to do the dress code? Well, who enforces it? Who doesn't enforce it? And it was really surprising. The high schools weren't even using the dress code, and my understanding from the elementary was we put a dress code in for the middle school and the high schools, but yet they never enacted it, enforced it. The elementaries were never, it was just kind of a lot of confusion with it. There were some people who liked it, some who didn't. It was not getting enforced district-wide. From my seat, either we enforce it district-wide or we don't enforce it district-wide. As far as the modified dress code that we had were the uniforms.
At the elementaries only.
At the elementaries is where it was at. So in the discussion with the administrators, they were almost unanimous in, hey, let's just have a dress code, but not the modified dress code with the uniform. So yes,
we just have guidelines.
You still have guidelines and dress codes and what's appropriate, and parents know it shouldn't be this. School's for learning, not for worried about how people are, students are dressing. And so we're going to work with our parents in communication, but understand if you're worried about buying specific clothes, the clothes you have should work as long as they're, anything they're wearing to church or just out should work fine. And again, you don't have to wear a particular color or anything.
And if they want to wear their polos and their khakis and slacks, they're more than welcome.
More than welcome, yes.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Hime, what else would you like to celebrate this week? We do have, you are speaking, and we have some scholarships happening.
Yes, some scholarships at the Schneider Electric is awarding some scholarship to some of our students. We still have some other things we've won through the week, and we're still moving forward, so it's exciting.
And Edison is moving, and so are
We
our
have some
other
pictures on
buildings.
the website
Yes.
with Edison. Edison's going to be a complete makeover. Jack Hanna's team with Price Beecham and those guys are doing a great job over there. Our maintenance guys are doing great. Our yards
They're
are
all
looking
over.
good. Our mowing guys are keeping up, which is amazing because I can barely keep up with my own yard because grass is growing so much because the rain has been just perfect for grass to grow, I guess. So shout out to all of our people. Feeding kids still,
Yes,
got all of our
summer
food.
feeding.
Summer feeding still going on, so we got food. Again, if you got questions or you need more information on any of that, info@lawtonps.org. And we'd really love a bunch of questions to come in about next year with school supplies. We've talked about that. The
correct.
minimum, we're going to provide supplies, but we'd like more questions so we can, the next couple podcasts early in July, I'd love to be able to answer questions and, again, provide communication to our parents in our community about where we're going at Lawton Public Schools.
A lot of great things happening. And also, please check out our social media pages. We've got a lot of great things from our summer school to our teachers doing professional development. So much going on that we just love to share it with you guys, and we can't wait to hear from you. Mr. Hime, thank you so much for coming and spending the week with us and telling us what's going on. And until next week, you guys,
It'll
it's
be
going to be
July.
July. That's right,
Yeah.
July 1st. And we've got the holiday
Yep.
weekend coming. So we are closed on July 5th, which is
Yes.
that Monday. So if you need to come up here, let's, remember our office hours, and we'll be here to help you guys. And our email is open 24/7 anytime you need to get a hold of us.
See you next week.
That's right. Have a great week, you guys.